right. Well, with that, we've got a special guest joining us. Finally, we can move along here because
if he's still there, he might have just been like, "What the hell is this show?
I'm out of here." So, joining us now, we've got a special guest from MLBBro.com. It is Malik Wright, who is a senior content producer and reporter, I should say, for MLBBro.com. Malik, welcome. Nice to have you here on PHLY Phillies podcast.
I'm glad to be here. It's my first time here, and I already am feeling the good vibes and the energy.
Yeah, we're a couple idiots, but thanks for hopping on.
You're coming right into the midst of some chaos right now, but it's fine. Everything's fine. This is fine. So listen, things down in Texas have been very interesting, and I wanted to get your input on it. And I feel like you're a great person to join us to talk about it, as we've been heavily discussing the future for Jordan Montgomery, Josh Hader, different names. Well, let's start with Jordan Montgomery, because we have heard there is potential that he can stay with the Rangers. What do you think is the latest in terms of where you expect Jordan's going to be going next?
Well, like you said, I hope he's comes back here and joins us with the Texas Rangers. He was acquired last year at the trade deadline, and he blew my expectations out the window. I mean, we call him Big 50 out here. His intro song it's 50 Cent, and man, I mean, the things he did while Max Scherzer was out, and just taking that ace role for Jacob deGrom that wasn't able to be filled, it was big time. Currently, now when we heard the Rangers general manager Chris Young speak, there's been a little bit of issues trying to get the team a TV contract. They don't even know what channel they're going to be on, which is affecting part of our money, their money, I should say. I see the Yankees with potential for Montgomery too, but I think this is a push that the Rangers need to give. He's a guy that you need to have back. You don't get a World Series title without him, and then still with some questions in the starting rotation this year, you lose Perez. Max Scherzer's down for the first few months. I think a guy with that stability that Montgomery brings you, with every start he had, consistently going long and pitching deep in the games, and leaving us not having to worry about a bullpen that struggled for the entire regular season. I think it's big that the Rangers do bring Monty back.
So if they don't bring Monty back, Malik, is the backup plan then like a Josh Hader? Do they possibly get involved with Snell if he's still available? What's kind of the word on option B down there?
I definitely think Hader and Montgomery could both be 1A, 1B options. I think you could get both. And just speaking like I spoke on earlier, the Rangers bullpen, they were one of the first teams to make the playoffs with more blown saves than actual saves. And even though we saw Josh Forbes and Jose Leclerc sort of locked down in their roles in the postseason, I think you get a guy like Hader, who I was just looking up some of his stats from the last season. Gave up a run in 9 of his 61 appearances, and he never gave up more than 2. That's the type of stability you need when you can cut a game down to 7 innings and you know that he's going to come in there and be locked down. Another starting pitcher we were talking about, was it Snell that you mentioned? I think he might be a little pricey out the Rangers price pad. I actually think that he might end up, if he doesn't go to New York, I think he could end up with one of the Los Angeles teams. Still got guys like Marcus Stroman, Michael Lorenzen on the market that I think will probably sign a little later in the market. So we'll see what CY has cooking up to help the starting rotation.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, Montgomery has been rumored to be possibly going to Yankees, or of course to stay with the Rangers. Josh Hader has been heavily connected with the Rangers. So how are you feeling about the way that the Rangers, with dealing with the financial issues, of course, around the TV deal and everything, and having some big money guys on the market, how do you feel that they're actually doing so far in the offseason and the hot stove to be able to bolster some areas of need?
It hasn't been the best offseason, but we got to give CY a little bit of time to cook. Just with the Ohtani saga that was going on, he filled up a lot of holes last year. If you look at the lineup, there's not many issues there. They lost Mitch Garver to the Seattle Mariners, but I think there's still guys on the team that can fit that DH role. You add Kirby Yates from the Braves, Diego Castillo on a minor league deal, who a few years ago, he was a solid closer for Seattle out there. So I think CUI has done all right. I think he's sort of scoping the scene. But a lot of, I think, what's going to be key for the Rangers, besides bringing outside free agents, is the guys that are in the building. executing. John Gray, Andrew Heaney, Dane Dunning, those three guys, after Max went down in the World Series against the Diamondbacks, they were all heroes out here. If they're able to hit the ground running to their full potential and back a guy like Nathan Eovaldi, I think the team's prone for a repeat.
And Malik, a question I've been asking most guests that join us. Obviously, the Dodgers are kind of like stealing this offseason's headlines. And you guys down there get to be defending champs for this year, which is really fun. How do you feel about super teams in baseball? Because this is pretty much bigger than like the Yankees of the Death Star days where they were getting everyone. I mean, they spent over $1 billion this offseason for 2 players. What are your thoughts? I think it's great for the game. What are your thoughts on the super team in baseball?
Well, one thing that I like specifically about the Dodgers super team is we get to see these Japanese baseball players come on the biggest stage. They, of course, beat us in the World Baseball Classic. And you could say that that's, regardless of who we brought out there, they represented that they were the best of the best. Now their best get to come compete with our best. And even if it's on a stacked lineup like the Los Angeles Dodgers in Hollywood, who somehow found a way to get somebody on credit. I like to say they got Ohtani on credit. But it's going to be fun to see. And the Texas Rangers, we spent $500 million on Seager and Simeon, then went back last year and loaded up on Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi. So it's a sport with no salary cap. You have to spend to win, but also you have to develop your own talent. I use the Rangers as an example, but we don't get that World Series with just the players we sign. You have Josh Jung, a homegrown talent, Nate Lowe, who was there for a year, Adolis Garcia, who was a diamond in the rough find. You still have to find players like that. Evan Carter, who came in the playoffs and made a huge impact. If you can't find players like that, then it'll look for a great regular season, but you'll hit a peak at some point.
In the chat, one of our commenters, Marshall Lynch, is saying, "You're talking that talk. I'm not gonna let you slide for casually saying that the Rangers can run it back." I heard a little drop in there about that. Of course, money is an issue right now, and I know our own Tyler Zulli, our producer, actually has a question for you about that, Malik.
Yeah, so Malik, one of the big reasons I thought that the Rangers had a legitimate chance at Shohei Ohtani was because of how many contributors that you just talked about, those guys that are, kind of still on relatively cheap deals, the arbitration eligible guys. Like, this was like a pounce now opportunity before all these guys start to become free agents. If the money's an issue with the TV deal, some of these arbitration eligible guys, do you expect any of them to potentially end up having to be moved because the Rangers may not be able to afford them?
Yeah, that's a conversation that I'm sure is going to be coming up in the next few months, especially up to the trade deadline and even the next season. Adolis Garcia deserves some money. I believe Nathaniel Lowe's upcoming free agent. Leody Taveras, another guy whose clock is going to be running up. And they're guys. We have Wyatt Langford as a young rookie. He's still in the minors, but he was a first-round pick this year, and they're saying his trajectory is up there with Mike Trout and Evan Carter, who came through the big leagues quick. So there are going to be some tough decisions that have to be made. I, for one, think that you have to keep Adolis Garcia on your team. But when you look at guys like Nathaniel Lowe and Leody Taveras, who I just seeing those two work. Nathaniel Lowe's, I say he's the hardest hitter. He's the hardest working player on the team. Just a raw talent, not the most athletic guy, but he's one of the best hitters in the game. You're going to have to, and these guys are all around that good prime of their career. So it's going to be nervous. And I know you still have to acquire talent. You got guys like Bellinger, Soler on the market that you think can come in. But I'm also a guy that I think chemistry matters in sports. And the way that the Rangers were clicking last year, I just want to know or wonder if it's going to be a thing that can carry on for years and years to come. And, of course, when Ohtani went at the end of the season, I thought it was a no-brainer. Ohtani said he wanted to go play where he could win. Well, man, look at all this talent we have. Looks like we have a DH role that might be open. He's not pitching this season. I thought he would be a perfect fit, and I would have loved it to just have the city and the team itself kind of be enticed is the right word in that Japanese culture. I think that those eyes that it puts on baseball were going to be some of the coolest parts about getting Ohtani on the team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with you in the sense that it could have been cool. I don't know if I'd be more mad at. I'm still mad that he's with the Dodgers, but I think about him with the Rangers would be terrifying. I'm curious. I kind of want to just give one final quick thought.
And if you
from
guys move Garcia, we'll take him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's we can figure that out for sure.
We'll take him.
But listen, something going back to your comments about just the World Series in general and the talent that the Rangers have. Obviously, MLB drops very early, January 2024 power rankings with the Braves and the Dodgers sitting at 1 and 2, and the Rangers at 3, Orioles at 4, and then Phillies at 5. So, taking off a Rangers hat, are you feeling like the Rangers are the best team in baseball still? Or are you thinking it is going to be the Braves or the Dodgers or the Phillies? You know, what's your early thoughts as we are sitting into January? Because I feel like it's never too soon to get people's predictions.
I think I generally, taking off the hat of getting to cover and getting to be around the guys, I truly think that they are the best team in the American League. I think that the lineup depth is there. Corey Seager is the best hitter on the planet. You get Marcus Semien, he played in every type, spring training, all-star, playoff, up to the last at-bat. You got him. You get a superstar like Adolis Garcia. But the important part of the Rangers, I think, is that young talent. Josh Jung, like I mentioned, Evan Carter, those two became stars in the playoffs. Ezekiel Duran, and then Leody Taveras, who Leody had a better playoff run than Marcus Semien. I know Semien hit the great home run to put the capper on it. I think that the lineup depth is there. The thing that does worry me, and it worried me up until the last game last year, is the bullpen. I still think we need to get another piece or two and have a few guys step up. And then also, like I mentioned, some of those other pitchers can get it done. But I think we have a great shot. I am the Yankees, of course. They're going to be a bigger threat this year. And the Baltimore Orioles, I think, as well as the Minnesota Twins. Houston, the Astros, I think this is the Astros, might be their last great run with Bregman and Altuve kind of not sure if they're being brought back. Dusty's kind of gone. So I think this is another prime year for the Rangers to strike. And as far as who we'll see on that National League side, I would love to beat the Dodgers. But it's baseball, and I heard you guys talk about it. I heard the Braves were penciled in the World Series for an entire season last year when they came in Arlington and they smacked the Rangers up. And they were a first-round exit. So I think the Phillies have a great chance. And I also think a team that people are sleeping on is San Diego. I know they lose Juan Soto, but I'm high on Tatis, and I'm also high on Machado for them to get it done. They got a lot of depth in that lineup as well.